Hi guys, in this video, I'm gonna be sharing with you the correct YouTube ad structure and how you can create winning and successful YouTube ads that are gonna bring more sales into your business. We're gonna be going over the 4 parts of that. We're also gonna be talking about how are you charged and why does that matter to the actual structure of a YouTube ad. And then we're also gonna be sharing with you some of the biggest mistakes that we see people make when they start to create YouTube ads and they start to use the platform. So let's just jump straight into it. So let's start with the biggest mistakes people make. What we see is a lot of people come to YouTube ads, particularly from Facebook. And what they do is they treat YouTube ads and particularly the YouTube platform like Facebook, but it couldn't be more different if you absolutely tried. Now, the biggest mistakes that we see people make is they'll grab a very salesy Facebook ad and they'll try and stick that straight onto YouTube and wonder why it doesn't work. We see this all the time. And the reason for that is you need to understand that the YouTube platform, why people go to Facebook and why people go to YouTube is inherently different. People come to YouTube because they're looking to be entertained or educated. People come to Facebook because they're looking to burn time and they're looking to connect and socialize. So the way that you talk in the ad is very different. The way that you talk to an ad in Facebook might be quite interruptive and salesy because you have to break that scroll. Right? Whereas in YouTube, for example, particularly with what we call pre-roll ads, you know, the ones where you're watching your content and you're just waiting to skip, you're waiting the 5 seconds. Those are the ads I'm talking about here. Those ads there need to be able to entertain, but also educate you in some way and deliver you some value because a lot of people go to the platform for that. And that's really important. So how do we accomplish this? How do we actually get ads that either educate or entertain, but also really help people and want them to take the next step with us in our sales journey? So what we need to do is understand these 4 parts. Now, when I'm talking about a pre-roll ad, like I said, we do have that 5 seconds to skip. So when you're watching a YouTube piece of content and all of a sudden an ad pops up, you've literally got 5 seconds to get your message across. And this is really where we would put the first part of the ad structure, and that is called the hook. Now, the hook needs to grab people's attention within that first 5 seconds. So what we want to do here is usually talk to the problem that people are experiencing. So whatever the problem, the main problem that you solve or the big benefit that you might have, you want to put that at this part of the journey because at this part of the journey, people are very, what I would call problem aware. This is the problem aware section of the actual ad. So we want to come in here and hook them in some way. So it might be something like, if I'm doing a YouTube stuff, would you like to make an extra 100K in 100 days with YouTube ads? So one that we might do is, would you like to stop burning money on Facebook ads and try YouTube advertising? Okay, so again, we've spoken to the problem. That works really well. If you can identify the problem that your customers are having and you're able to say, hey, have you got this problem? Would you like it solved? That makes a great hook. So what can work really well here for the hook too, other than the big problem, the big benefits, are questions, okay? So asking them a question, do you want this outcome? Do you hate this? Are you annoyed with that? Would it be better if this could happen? Okay, what are the questions that you could ask in 5 seconds that would literally lead them into the next step? We find questions and problems are the best things that you can have in a hook. Now the hook does need to go for 5 seconds, okay? So what can you say in 5 seconds that's literally gonna stop their attention and go, oh yes, I have that problem, I'd like that solution, or yes, that sounds like something I'd like to know more about, enough to be able to get them away from the content that they're actually watching. That would be the hook. Now the next part is super important. So the next part is what we would call the elevator pitch. Now the elevator pitch is probably the most important part of the whole process, and that is going to be really important when I talk to you about how you're charged. So the elevator pitch is super cool. It comes from the concept of maybe working in a high-rise building. Now you might be thinking like, what on earth has a high-rise building got to do with YouTube ad structure? And I'll show you exactly how that works. Well, think about it. If you're an employee and maybe you're on like floor 3 and the boss that you want to talk to, maybe he's on like floor 20. What you want to do is get in the elevator with him at floor 20 and ride the elevator all the way to the floor. And what you have to do in that time is pitch, and that's why it's called an elevator pitch. If you've got someone's attention for the amount of time that it takes to go from the top floor of a high-rise building to the bottom, which is a very short amount of time, you have to be very, very succinct and tight with your pitch that you're trying to pitch the CEO to get that promotion that maybe that employee was looking for, okay? And it's the same thing in our YouTube ad. We literally have a very short amount of time to be able to pitch what it is that we're doing to our prospect so they'll hang around and watch the rest of our ad or take the action that we're looking for them to take. And that is an elevator pitch. Having that structured correctly is really key. So number 3 is the story. Now the story is super key because this is where we want to give people value. And this is where YouTube ads is different to most other ads that you'll see out there on the market. Inside the story section, we want to give people value. So teach them something, educate them, entertain them in some way. If you can be funny, but make sure that they've left that ad with something that's like, wow, that really helped me, or that added value to my life in some way. And the great thing about stories is a great way to be able to sell your products or service. I mean, you go back to the dawn of time, stories are the most important thing that you can do to sell or to teach a particular concept. In this case, having a really cool story section after an elevator pitch works really well because you piqued their interest with the hook. You're like, yep, that's cool. The elevator pitch was like, oh wow, that sounds really amazing. I'd like to hear more. And then the story behind your business or your product or your service or like what it is that can actually help people, what tangible results can you get for people and how can you help the people listening to your ad? All of that stuff can go into your story. Now, the last section here is the actual close. Now, the close is basically where you ask them to do the thing that you want. It might be register for my webinar, buy my product, come to my store, register for my event, like whatever it is that you're asking them to do, you want to do that. Now, it's not just, hey, buy my thing, do this, register for this, opt in for my list, whatever it might be. You actually want to have a close where it's a benefit to them to do it, okay? So for example, if you like the sound of whatever it is that you're offering, then you would finish off with, all you need to do is click on the button below and you'll get all the things that we promised in the story elevator pitch, and we look forward to seeing you on the other side. Now, what's really cool here is that you want to, what's called sell the click, okay? So if you're saying, click now or click over, you want to be like, if you do this and click, you'll get X, okay? So you want to actually like, click the button below to find out more about how you can X result, okay? For example, you want to sell that click to the next page. Some things that I put into the closes, I usually say something like, okay, so if you'd like to register for, say, an upcoming webinar, you'll be taken to a page that looks something like this. On the webinar, we're going to be covering X, Y, and Z. So all you need to do is click through to get outcome benefit that you're looking for. We look forward to seeing you on the other side. So that would be an example of a good close that you could put at the end of your video. So close, that's really important. The big question we get asked at about this point is, okay, well, how long should my YouTube ad be? Pro tip, somewhere between about 1:10 or 3 minutes. Do not go over 3 minutes, okay? I mean, you can, it'll just cost you more and you have to have an amazing ad. It can work, but in most cases, it's just more expensive. So between 1 minute and 3 minutes is probably what you're looking for a perfect sort of length of YouTube ad and how that all comes together. So how are we charged and why is that important? So how we're charged with YouTube makes a big difference in how we've come up with this YouTube ad structure. So the first thing that we need to understand is that when you skip, it's really cool because it's absolutely free. Now, the reason why it's cool to know that the skip button is free is because if they've skipped, they're not your people and YouTube will not show as many people your ad that aren't interested in listening to what it is that you want to deliver, okay? Now, that's really important because a lot of people say, well, won't I just be bombarding people with ads and they'll just think that my business is ridiculous? Well, not at all, because if they've skipped, it didn't cost you anything and they haven't had to sit through your ad, and YouTube will not show those ads to those people again, usually. And what happens then is you're able to actually not be charged, but the people who do hang around for, that's when you'll be charged for the ads, which is fantastic because you're not getting charged to people who aren't interested in your offer or your service. So the other really cool thing is that the first 30 seconds of how you're charged is free. So if you're running a YouTube ad and they watch for the 25 seconds, usually that will be free if you're running pre-roll ads. Now, that's absolutely amazing because if you compare that to something like Facebook, basically you have a maximum of 3 to 15 seconds on Facebook before you're charged, and you're charged per impression. It's a little bit different on YouTube. In YouTube, the first 30 seconds are free, and then you're charged whether they watch the rest after 30 seconds or they click through to your ad. Now, we always get asked this following question: well, why don't you just run ads that are under 30 seconds? They'll be free, right? And then you won't ever have to pay for ads. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that because if your video finishes, they count that as a full view through the whole video, and then you get charged anyway. So really what you want to do is about 1 minute to 3 minutes, but in this first 30 seconds that's free, what we can do is we can put in our elevator pitch. So this is where we'll put a small call to action where we can say, elevator pitch might be something like one that we do would be like, email open rates suck, search ads are super expensive, and Facebook ads are about as reliable as a politician's promise. What we do is we give you XYZ free training or whatever we're doing. So if that's something that you're interested in, growing your business with YouTube ads, just click on the button below. So let's get into how YouTube ads can help you. That's how slight or how small the call to action would be. So you usually start with problem, benefit they're looking for, and then basically a small call to action like click through. If you're interested, click the button below. That's how quick it needs to be. And then you'll move into the story. But what's nice about that is if you can include all of that and your hook before that first 30-second mark, you can literally get this part for free. you only get charged if people are hanging around and listening to your story or your close. So this is absolutely amazing in terms of driving the right traffic. Now, if we are able to do some other cool things on YouTube ads, like in terms of our targeting, like just show our ads to people who can afford them and target by income, and also if they're ready to buy, like you can really drive a very high quality person to your website. And then let me ask you, if you were able to only be charged for ads of people who had not skipped, listened to the hook, listened to the elevator pitch, and started to listen to the story, do you think that you would get a more qualified click to your website than say someone on Facebook who's scrolling through looking at cats and what people had for dinner? In most cases, the answer to that is 100% yes. So that's sort of how we're charged. The other point was going to be the call to action, which I've just explained there. But guys, make sure if you're going to write a YouTube ad structure, this is a great way to do it. We have some free training you can probably check out below, and we do have an event coming up where we'll actually be able to run you guys through this for 3 full days. The events are usually free, so you can come along and check that out. And we'll actually give you everything you need to create successful YouTube ads within that 3-day period. Now guys, if you have any questions or there's anything else that I can help you with, please let us know in the comments section below. If you've got any value out of this video, please like, share, subscribe. That would be fantastic. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video.